Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back to some more bite-sized business advice. I have a fun episode today, a topic I know literally zero about, like probably less than zero. If you can know less than zero about something, that's how I feel about today's topic. And I'm excited because it is a popular platform we're going to talk about, Pinterest. How do you organically market your business on Pinterest? How do you attract leads? How do you convert those to clients, proposals, money in the bank? And we have Dana with me, who I was on her podcast, the Entrepreneur Encounter podcast, a few weeks ago. We'll put that link down in the show notes. Dana, good to see you here again. Thanks for coming.
No problem. I'm excited.
So I know nothing about Pinterest. Do you know anything about Pinterest? Should we just clarify that?
I like to think that I do.
Okay, fair enough. That is a good baseline. No, you are an expert in this. It definitely compared to me, but no, you help people with Pinterest, specifically in the wedding industry. But I think these strategies probably go outside of that industry to a lot of different industries and niches. So I'd love to just kind of dive in and say, like, first and foremost, how did you stumble upon using Pinterest among all of the popular social media platforms?
So honestly, it's a little embarrassing. I
Good,
have
even
used
better.
Pinterest for a long time, but mainly for personal use. And genuinely, I used it when I was helping friends plan their weddings and things. When I launched my event planning business, when I was a stay-at-home mom, I used it for inspiration with couples. So when I became a virtual assistant for wedding professionals, it should have been a no-brainer 2 years ago to like optimize and, maximize this as a niche for me to work in. And that is, of course, not what I did. I went with like what I was seeing on social media and like just being a general admin, getting in the door. I know the industry. I know what their clients need. I know what vendors need because I've done that walk before. But from the beginning, I have always been an organic marketing strategist. I don't want to pay money to market my business if I don't have to. Even now that I'm doing it full time, like I still rely solely on word of mouth, connecting with people in the community in person, and then marketing through Facebook, Instagram, and now Pinterest. LinkedIn was where I first started of like organically building connections and things like that. But for my niche, I work with wedding professionals. They're not necessarily on LinkedIn. So while it wasn't necessarily a waste of time on boosting my visibility and like my expertise, it was a waste of time and I'm not connecting with who I wanted to work with. So I met amazing coaches. I met amazing other service providers like insurance and agents. And so I did get clients from there, but it wasn't who I ideally wanted to work with. So now that I had repeat clients and like I had the revenue to kind of play around with my marketing, I went back to who I wanted to solely work with. And that led me to Pinterest being used as a marketing platform because I think like you, a lot of people see Pinterest as a social media platform, but it's actually not. It is a visual search engine very similar to Google. So like it's meant and designed to drive traffic to your website, to your landing page, to your service page, or whatever it is that you're trying to grow. That's its purpose. Facebook, Instagram, honestly, even LinkedIn, they want you to stay on that platform, which is why when you start posting links in your post, you not necessarily get dinged, but it messes with the algorithm and you won't be seen as easily. Pinterest is meant to share a link and pull them away, to save it and come back for later. Like that's what it was designed to do. It works in favor of creators, bloggers, wedding creatives.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. So a couple things to just highlight, a couple points to make here before we dive into how to leverage Pinterest. One is understand the platform you're on. That's what you just said, was understand what's going to get you kind of regulated, if you will, on the other platforms, and how you leverage getting more exposure. People just jump onto platforms, I think, and just start posting things, not understanding what they're doing, why they're doing it, and then they get no results and they're surprised. The other thing is, which I really just want to drive this home before we move forward, is I am not advocating for any one platform that's better than the other. Revisit what I just said. Make sure you are using the platform for how it's intended to be used and how it fits strategically with your business. Full disclosure, I will not be jumping on Pinterest for my business after this episode. Because my clients are not on Pinterest. I'm very curious to hear how it could be used and leveraged, because some of my clients should be on Pinterest, but know your place, know where you should be. And Dana, it sounds like you did exactly that, getting off LinkedIn and back on Pinterest. So do you disagree with anything I just said first?
100% I do not. So
Okay.
I have a love-hate relationship with Meta. I know there's wedding planners on there, but sometimes I just needed to take a break and I want to find smarter ways. And I love going on LinkedIn and connecting and seeing how like just the professional world has shifted. But it was a hard thing for me to, I don't know, accept. Like, my people are not on LinkedIn, so it cannot and will not be my focus in 2024 or in 2023 when I really noticed it. But I still like held on to it for a little bit. But 2024, like, I maybe post once or twice a week on LinkedIn just for the visibility. And I post on Pinterest. I share pins 2 to 4 times per day.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
That's a big difference. And I assume that's a good thing on Pinterest. The more you post, the more they probably put your pins out. So, okay, let's dive in then, because if, like I said, I have clients who should be on LinkedIn, maybe are not LinkedIn. I'm sorry. I always talk about LinkedIn. On Pinterest. That's what we're here to discuss today, not those other platforms. Clients that should be there, clients that are there. You are there, and maybe there's somebody listening who wants to be on Pinterest and is just not sure how to go about doing it. So let's start with the basics and then build a strategy out. And I'd love to explore how you've grown your Pinterest and how you actually get business from it. That's really, really cool. So first things first, if I am on Pinterest, I've never looked at what my profile looks like or what I'm doing, like, where do I start?
So actually, I'm going to pause and I'm going to hit the numbers game, because I know, just like you say you're not going to go on Pinterest, and I'm not trying to persuade you, but maybe listeners need to hear why. And I'm a logistics person. I need to know it's not going to be a waste of my time. So monthly active users in 2023, these are the most recent statistics I could find because I was doing a workshop on it. There were 465 million monthly active users in 2023. 70% of Pinterest users are women. So if your demographic, you mainly work with women, I think that's a no-brainer. But also 97% of searches are unbranded. So Pinterest is a problem-solving search engine, essentially. How to entertain your children, how to budget, how to how to rebrand your business. I know, me personally, when I was looking for color combinations and font pairings, I went to Pinterest and I found someone in branding through Pinterest, but I wasn't looking for a specific business or solution. So it was unbranded. So I was still in that early stage of like market research. And then that led me to someone specific. So you can help answer problems while they're in that stage. And that can help with that long-term communication. Something else that I really love is the average lifespan of a pin. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, even LinkedIn, all the places, your content lasts maybe 48 hours. And then you obviously have to create new content. The average lifespan of a pin on Pinterest is 90 days. With the right like SEO, keywords, research, like, you can work smarter and it will constantly bring you business, as opposed to having to recreate the wheel. Which, as someone who is balancing, a husband and 5 kids and a business and a podcast and everything else that goes into it. I need my marketing to be better and more last longer, because it's exhausting to come up with content all the time.
I I hear you, and that's why most people don't do it. Because it's very clear though, because you post something on whatever platform, pick your platform, and you get views and likes and comments for 12 minutes and then nothing. And you're like, oh, I spent so long creating like that one piece of content, and now it's dead effectively forever. And you have to continue to create, which can be exhausting, can be draining, especially if that's not like your zone of genius, if you will. That's why people stop, and that's why their marketing stops when they stop. I didn't know that about Pinterest. That's really, really cool. You're swaying me towards Pinterest now. So maybe by the end of this episode, I have to take back that statement from before. But I hate all social media platforms. So if you can find
That's
me
why
one,
we get along.
yes, if you can find me one where I can work smarter, not harder, I already love it. So okay, becoming a Pinterest fan,
Right.
slow and steady.
So now that
that
I'm slightly swaying you and hopefully swaying everybody else, your first step
yes, tell me
is
what to
going
do.
to be either to convert your personal page into a business account or to start a new business account. Your clients, or your future clients, may not be interested in that pair of shoes that you pinned 3 weeks ago and saved on your boards. So they're going to look for that consistent content from you that relates to what you offer on your business. So you want to create, I always just say start a new business account, because then you don't have to remove everything. My personal account is on my phone, and then my business is on all of my laptops, desktop, wherever it is that I'm working from my business, it's there. So I don't get them confused, because all of the pins on your account have and will tell Pinterest something about your company. And so if they're not in line with your client avatar, your ideal client, it could be hurting your account and your analytics. So having a business account also lets you take care of the analytics features, so that you know which pins are working the best, which content is, pulling in more clicks, where they're going. So if your landing page for your email newsletter is working better than your service page, maybe take some of the tactics from that newsletter and put them on your service page, or vice versa. So you just log in Pinterest, click sign up in the top right corner, create a business account, and kind of go from follow the prompts. It's very simple to kind of walk through what you need to do.
That sounds easy enough. I could probably handle that. You, the listener, could definitely handle it if I can. So that's good. Curious though, I've heard on other platforms, if you have a business account rather than personal, that would limit your exposure. I assume that's not true on Pinterest, it sounds like.
No, the only thing that might limit is if you, like I said, had the wrong keywords.
Okay.
But the algorithms and things, they've released a lot of new features. And so if you're using old tactics, that would limit your exposure. But you can pick the right keywords. You can now, I'm actually going to pull up Pinterest right now. You can put almost like hashtags, but they're long form keywords that you can kind of when you're searching, it automatically puts them in that. They're called tagged topics now. So it's Pinterest version of hashtags.
Okay.
Is how I explain them to everybody.
It's the Pinterest for idiots version. Okay, I like it. You know your audience, me. That's fantastic. So, all right, we have our account. We've created our account. Now what? I really want to know what's the strategy that you use to come up with content, keep coming up with content so that it's relevant, and then people, ideally, we turn clicks into conversations that are ultimately clients. What is your strategy to make that happen? I assume it's more involved than a 3-step process, but dumb it down for me. What should somebody do if they want to turn pins to profits? See what I did there? I just came up with that. Pins to profits. How are we doing that?
I love it. Claim it now. So with any kind of marketing, you want to get clear on who you're targeting on Pinterest, because kind of what I was hinting at before, not only is every pin important, but every single action you take on that platform is telling them something about you and your account. So it's taking that information. So not only what you pin onto your account and in the various boards, but if you go through and pin something else, or if you're searching for a solution within your business or maybe for a client, it's going to take that information and decide who to show your pins in their smart feed based on your actions. So you want to be strategic about what it is you're looking for. What I like to do is when I am searching, I'm searching as if I was a wedding planner. I'm going to look for wedding design colors or mood boards or different trending seasonal design elements, so that my keyword one, then I have new keywords to use that quarter to put into my own pins. But then it's telling Pinterest, hey, this is who I want to talk to, share them with me. So it helps me maintain like clear messaging, and I'm only pinning what my clients are searching for, and I'm only creating content with those people in mind. So once you do that, your ideal like target audience, then you want to create a keyword list centered around your business and your target audience. And that's where that research comes in, where I pretend to be my client through my business account. I start with like 5 core keywords that describe my business and what I offer. So I offer Pinterest marketing, social media. I do pin things about my podcast on there. I'm a big supporter of online education, delegating, virtual assisting, business management, client experience. Like those are some of my keywords that I use in my Pinterest titles. I use them in my board descriptions, my board names, my pin descriptions. I try to use about 10 to 15 different keywords into my content, whether it's my profile description and everywhere else. You want to infuse them essentially.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so you're getting inside the head of your ideal client really first is step one, it sounds like, which is like marketing 101. But that's important. I didn't realize that, because so you're searching for things that your client is searching for, and you're posting or pinning things that they're searching for. How are you driving that content back to working with you as a VA? I'm curious, like for you specifically. So if you're posting things about brand colors and fonts and decorations, what does that convert to when they click on the pin? Like what's the link to work with you?
So I will use that in my description. So I say, stay ahead of the curve and focus on your couple's unique design concept or something like that. And then learn expert strategies to streamline your workflow, or I give the solution already. Delegate vendor communication to a virtual assistant, or master time management with delegating workflow steps, something like that. That's really off the top of my head, but something along those lines. And then I lead them to my service page, because that's the main thing I focus on. A lot of wedding planners, or really anybody, is looking for online visibility, standing out from the crowd, like those keywords. And so I infuse that as well when I'm looking to book more audits of Pinterest accounts, just to like get your initial setup, teach you how to do it. And then that's the only time we work together. So that's where those 10 to 15 keywords fit in to the title and the description. And it's full circle.
I'm curious, have you played with where you're sending people at all, like testing a lead magnet versus your service page versus like directly to book a call? Have you done any of that?
I use my service page and my blog. I have finally accepted that I need to have a blog on my website.
Welcome to 2004. Okay, that's awesome.
We have a blog. So yes. And then, so that's really the two places that I send people. And then now that the podcast is growing and we're trying to get that, then I link it to, I have audiograms that I put on Pinterest and lead them to the episode itself. Honestly, the podcast pins from my page do the best. Because they're the soft skills. So they're productivity, team management. So my goal this quarter, in full transparency, is to take that and rework my strategy for Dana's desk, because that's what people seem to be searching for right now, which makes sense because wedding season is in full swing. So they do have team communication on the day of. They may be hiring new day of coordinators and things like that. So that trend still aligns, and that's my strategy for April, is to get that infused with the wedding side of things.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
But
I would have known that if I didn't have analytics through the business account.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that another reason to have the business account. So I like this. I don't know. I'm not 100% there. I might be, but when you said you post 2 to 4 times a day, I'm like, pass. So I'm curious, what is required to actually grow your Pinterest account, start booking calls, getting clients? Is it 2 to 4 times a day? Like, what are some things that we should just be really aware of before we jump to this platform and call it our marketing platform? Just to make sure everybody's on the same page here before we jump in.
So, I mean, if you don't have the time to pin 2 to 4 times a day, honestly, I batch it. So one day a month, I will batch 30 pins just for Dana's desk and maybe one service. And then the next week I'll batch 30 days for just the podcast. And then that's the strategy that works for me. I'm not trying to curate new content every single time, right? So Pinterest does prioritize fresh content over anything else, but new content can be 10 graphics with different colors and maybe change out the picture, but they all lead to the same place. That is fresh content in Pinterest eyes. So it's still okay to pin some other pins, but the main message is turning your working smarter, not harder. So for every blog post, I will create 10 to 15 pins just for the one blog post, and then I'll push them out. But that again it could be one graphic and just changing out the colors because it's visually appealing, and swapping out the graphic, playing around with the fonts because I have 2 or 3 fonts that I use. So I'll intertwine them. And that is quickly creating in just a few minutes 10 graphics that I can now share in just a few minutes.
That's interesting. I like that. All right. So this is helpful. It's helping me. I'm almost there. I'm right on the edge. Maybe by the time this episode goes live, I'll be on Pinterest. If I am, I'll put a link in the show notes so you can check me on my
I love it.
On my promise there. But all right, so this was good though. So if somebody wants to get on Pinterest, if they want a little bit of help, I know you work primarily with the wedding niche, but you have a checklist on your website. What do you have on the website if someone wants some help setting up their Pinterest?
So I've put together a Pinterest quick start guide that kind of walks you through that. I actually just did a workshop on this with Entrepreneur Encounter Circle about Pinterest, and that's where the statistics came from. It was off of that presentation, and how to simply get it started in 9 easy steps, and then kind of talk about curating content and everything. So if you go to my website, it should be on the homepage, but I'll send you a link for it. And it's just all about claiming your website, creating content. The recommendation, I'd rather tell you to pin just 1 or 2 times a day just to get into the habit of things and see the difference than saying, okay, we got to get you 5, 10 pins per day, because that's overwhelming and then you're not going to want to do it. Let's start small, 1 to 2, and then really focus on converting that traffic afterwards. And all of that is on the guide. You can't really control the entire user experience, on any platform. Doesn't matter if it's Pinterest, doesn't matter if it's Facebook. You want to funnel them where you have the most control. And typically that's your website, that's the blog, that's your podcast, that's your newsletter that you send out daily, weekly, or how often you feel like doing it. So sharing a direct link via the pin that you create, that is the call to action. And that's where you have more control over converting them, is getting them off of Pinterest. You've attracted them with your shiny graphic. Now convert them with your marketing funnel.
I love it. That's awesome. Dana, thank you so much for coming here and sharing these tips. I think it's, like you said, the stats you gave is actually shocking. I think it's one of the most prominent platforms in terms of growth in 2024. I heard that from somebody else, and you convinced me. So again, I don't know if I'll go on it. I can't promise that, but you've convinced me it's something to definitely look at and leverage if you want to grow your small business. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
And for you listening, watching, wherever you are, everything we talked about, all those links and fun things, they are in the show notes down below. Make sure you subscribe to Harmonious at Lunch so you don't miss a minute of this ridiculous show. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.